So what stands out to me, what drew you to working with men so intensely?
That's a good question too. It kind of feels like they chose me. I noticed that I just had a lot of male clients at one point, and I was doing a business training where they were saying you have to choose a niche and something that you really want to dive into and focus on. And I recognized that at the time, the vast majority of my clients were men, and I was seeing a lot of different overlaps in what was going on with them and the types of struggles they were having, and really enjoyed learning about them and supporting them. And I grew up hanging out with a lot of guys. I had like mostly guy friends as a kid, and then through my own relationships I've had the opportunity to see very deeply into various different men. And so it's just always been a passion of mine to kind of get to know their perspective. I think we live in an interesting time where there's this amazing movement of women's empowerment. And with that sometimes comes a lot of man bashing and demonizing of the masculine, which I personally think is not helpful at all. So I really like getting to see the other side and see how a man's mind works. And, it's fascinating to me. And I also found it to be a really helpful way to support women, because I was also looking around in my life and seeing all these women complain that there weren't any good men around. And so I thought I'd, take a peek into the masculine and see what's going on there.
So it's beautiful that you bring up masculinity. I'm going through a separation, essentially a divorce. And a big thing I've been studying is masculinity from a number of perspectives. Reading a number of books. Some books are just super misogynist, and it's just like, whoa, this is a whole perspective that I'm not super into, but I want to hear it, and then searching for what my own healthy masculinity looks like. Break down what you think healthy masculinity looks like, because it is subjective. Because I'm sure some women are I know some women are into toxic masculinity. That is a thing that they seek, through their own subconscious, right? So it's subjective. But in your opinion, working with men, and what you practically are studying working with men, break down the essence of masculinity to you and what you perceive as healthy masculinity.
Yeah. So you're right. It is subjective. And I think it's also important to recognize that we all have masculine and feminine energy within us. And, speaking to this from a very archetypal, physiological, geometric kind of perspective, this is something that weaves through all of existence. And we are all created from the combining of masculine and feminine energy, regardless of gender. It's how we all got here. So we both have those poles within us. And so I think cultivating that healthy masculinity is really important for everyone, regardless of gender. And to me, the masculine is really that unwavering, centered awareness, that integrity of really being in congruence with your mission, your purpose, your values, and everything that you do, not sacrificing that for a relationship, which is something I see a lot in kind of this nice guy problem, the people pleaser. And it happens, women can be people pleasers too, absolutely. But where I see a lot of men falling into weakened masculinity is when they're playing the nice guy role and they're trying to sacrifice everything to do something for a woman or a partner, and it's coming at the expense of themselves. So I think really healthy masculinity is recognizing to be supportive, to be a provider, you have to fill your own cup first. It's not this just like running on empty, giving the shirt off your back you don't have. You actually can't show up with your full strength in that way. And to be in healthy masculinity, you also have to have a connection to your femininity, and you have to be able to listen and feel. There's this concept in Taoism that true yang must come from and return to true yin. So yang is the masculine, fiery, directive energy, and yin is the feminine, flowing, receptive energy. And so a lot of our world is kind of operating from this false yang energy, or what can be kind of considered as like the juvenile masculine energy. And it can be this energy that's kind of operating on scarcity, like gotta get it where I can, gotta hop on every opportunity, whether that's sex, money, a job, like this distrust in the mystery and the feminine, that there will be more, and that if this opportunity isn't in alignment for me, I'm not going to jump on it just because it's here. I'm not going to run my body into the ground in the name of progress, or destroy the earth in the name of progress. These are all like patterns of that false yang energy. So if you're tuning in to that true yin energy first, there's a listening, there's a getting the lay of the land. So whether that is you're a leader and you're listening to your people and you're feeling into what's needed, that's the yin space. And then you're taking that yang action, you're making a decision in response to what you're picking up on. And then you come back to that yin space and you reflect and you check in, like, how did that go? And there's so many ways we can look at this. You know, in the bedroom, you want to be in a yin space first, of feeling the vibe between you and your lover, and you know, feeling into that before you throw in some like spanking out of nowhere when that's like totally not the vibe. And then listening, how did they receive that, reflecting and listening to your own body as well. So there's this pulse. But if we're just constantly operating in this masculine energy, being out of tune with intuition and listening and feeling and receptivity, we're actually just kind of destroying everything, including ourselves, most of the time. So I see a healthy masculine energy as being in integrity, being grounded, being self-aware, and also having the ability to tune into that feminine side, to listen. And it's this assertiveness rather than aggression, and a centered, grounded, deep awareness and presence.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful answer. But it leads me to think, like, besides working with you and besides literature, how do we get men as a culture there besides working with you? Or is it just the culture? Are we stuck in this cycle of toxicity? Or I hate to use that, but it's a fitting word. It's just a fitting word. Like, how do we stay in this? How do we get out of this cycle? Or are we stuck there until people work with people like you, or do the work that I believe that I do? And, you know, so yeah, where do you see a solution?
I do. You know, I think the whole world could use to tune in with more feminine energy, and that feminine energy strengthens the masculine in a positive way, and vice versa, because they are two sides of the same coin. If we oppress one, we inevitably dilute the other. And so, you know, they support each other. And I think our world has been very out of balance with the feminine. So I think cultivating our feminine side is really important, and not at the expense of the masculine, but in a way that supports it. And it kind of depends on, you know, where your struggle lies with masculinity. Another really healthy aspect of masculinity is having that fire, that drive, that ambition. But of course, keeping it in balance with the feminine nourishment and this sort of thing. But I really believe that the way that men work with their sexual energy is a huge piece of this. I think that men are equipped with this incredible, powerful, fiery sexual energy, and that it can feel really intense sometimes. It can feel like, you know, being given the keys to a really fast, high-powered car that you never learned how to drive. And unfortunately, we don't have great education for anyone around sexuality and relationship. But when you think of this masculine fiery energy, untamed fire burns down the world, whereas channeled fire fuels it and warms it and illuminates it. And so it's this beautiful force if it's properly channeled. But I really see at the root of so many of the problems in this world, there is a disconnection around how to work with that immense power and integrity. And so whether that manifests as like rape of other people, of the planet, seeking power over others, not knowing how to work with this fire in a loving way, there's a disconnection from the heart a lot of times. So merging sex with heart and being able to have that deeper awareness and listening to how that energy is moving through you, I think is a really big piece of cultivating healthy masculinity.
But timestamp that. That was so good. That's gonna be a clip. That was so good. Perfect answer.